The alien doctor injected me by mistake, then whispered, "Humans were never meant to endure this." Part 1. The cargo ship Bright Star was 2 days away from Earth when the aliens came. Daniel Price was working in the engine room when the first explosion shook the entire vessel. He grabbed the metal railing and held on as the ship trembled under his feet. "All crew to emergency stations." The captain's voice called through the speakers. "We are under attack. This is not a drill." Daniel ran through the narrow hallways. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. Other crew members pushed past him, some heading toward the escape pods, others toward the weapons storage. Nobody knew what was happening. When Daniel reached the main deck, he saw them through the large windows. 3 alien ships surrounded the Bright Star. They were silver and shaped like curved blades, much bigger than any human vessel. Their hulls shimmered with strange lights that Daniel had never seen before. "Valorians," Captain Henry Brooks said. His face was pale. "I never thought I would see them this close to Earth." Daniel had heard stories about the Valorians. Everyone had. They were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. Tall beings with silver skin and 4 arms. They had watched humanity from a distance for decades, but never made direct contact. Until now. "What do they want?" Daniel asked. Before the captain could answer, a bright beam of light hit the Bright Star. The ship stopped moving completely. Every system went dead. The engines fell silent. Even the emergency lights flickered and died in the darkness. Daniel heard a new sound. Metal grinding against metal. The aliens were cutting through the hull. They came through the walls like ghosts. Valorian soldiers in black armor, moving with perfect coordination. Their amber eyes glowed in the darkness. Each one carried a weapon that hummed with energy. The crew of the Bright Star tried to fight. Some had managed to grab pistols and rifles from the storage room. Daniel watched as his friends fired at the invaders. The bullets bounced off the alien armor like rain against a window. The Valorians did not fire back. They did not need to. They moved through the human defenders like wind through grass. One touch from their 4-armed grasp and crew members fell unconscious to the floor. Daniel felt something hit the back of his neck. Cold spread through his body instantly. His legs stopped working. He fell forward, and the world went dark. When Daniel woke up, he was strapped to a metal table. Bright white light shone down on him from above. He tried to move, but thick restraints held his arms and legs in place. He turned his head and saw other tables around him. Dozens of them. His crew members lay strapped to each one. The room was large and clean. Strange machines lined the walls, covered in symbols that Daniel could not read. The air smelled like chemicals and something else. Something wrong. A door opened and 3 Valorians walked in. They wore white robes instead of armor. Scientists or doctors, Daniel guessed. The one in front was taller than the others. His silver skin had marks on it, lines that might have been scars or symbols of rank. "Begin the cataloging process," the tall one said. His voice was deep and cold. "Supreme Commander Vale Taurus wants full biological profiles on every specimen." Specimen. Daniel felt anger rise in his chest. They were treating humans like animals to be studied. The tall Valorian walked between the tables. He checked readings on devices. He made notes on a glowing tablet. When he passed Daniel's table, their eyes met for a moment. The alien's amber gaze held no emotion. No cruelty. No kindness. Just cold scientific interest. "This one is awake," the tall Valorian said. "Increase the sedation." "Wait," Daniel said. His throat was dry. Speaking hurt. "What are you doing to us? What do you want?" The Valorian paused. He looked down at Daniel with something that might have been curiosity. "My name is Etheri. I am the lead physician on this vessel." "I am the lead physician on this vessel," What we want does not concern you. Your species is being studied. That is all you need to know. Studied for what? tHFY did not answer. He turned away and continued his work. More Valorians entered the room. They carried equipment. They drew blood samples from the unconscious crew members. They scanned bodies with devices that made strange humming sounds. Hours passed. Daniel drifted in and out of consciousness. The drugs they gave him were strong, but not quite strong enough. He stayed aware of what was happening around him. He watched. He listened. He learned. The Valorians were afraid of something. He could hear it in their voices when they thought no one was listening. They spoke about humans in worried tones. They mentioned something called the Catalyst. They talked about old wars and ancient encounters. Daniel did not understand most of it, but he understood that the aliens were not as confident as they seemed. Late in what Daniel guessed was the night cycle, an alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed. Valorian soldiers ran through the hallways outside the medical bay. tHFY and his assistants looked up from their work. "What is happening?" one of the assistants asked. "A human ship is attempting to intercept us," a soldier reported through the doorway. "They are demanding the release of the prisoners." tHFY made a sound of annoyance. "Continue the procedures. We will be jumping the faster-than-light speed soon. No human vessel can follow us." The alarm kept blaring. More explosions shook the ship. The lights flickered. One of the Valorian soldiers was brought into the medical bay. He was injured. Silver blood leaked from a wound in his side. "The catalyst," the injured soldier gasped. "Give me the catalyst. I need to return to battle." tHFY moved quickly. He grabbed a syringe from a cabinet. The liquid inside glowed with a soft purple light. He checked the readings on the injured soldier's armor. Then another explosion hit the ship. Much closer this time. The medical bay shook hard. Equipment fell from shelves. tHFY stumbled to the side. The syringe flew from his hand. When he regained his balance, he picked up the syringe without looking. He was focused on the battle sounds outside. He was worried about the ship. He made the worst mistake of his life. He turned toward Daniel's table instead of the injured soldier's table. The needle pierced Daniel's arm before anyone could stop it. tHFY pressed the plunger. The purple liquid entered Daniel's bloodstream. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then Daniel screamed. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. Every nerve in his body was on fire. His blood felt like liquid metal burning through his veins. His muscles twisted and pulled against his bones. His heart beat so fast and hard that he could hear it pounding in his ears like a war drum. tHFY stumbled backward. His amber eyes grew wide with terror. He looked at the empty syringe in his hand. Then he looked at Daniel. Then he looked at the injured Valorian soldier who was still waiting for his treatment. "No," tHFY whispered. His voice trembled. "No, no, no. What have I done?" He grabbed a scanner and pointed it at Daniel. The readings that appeared made his silver face go pale. His forehand started shaking. "This was the catalyst," he said to his assistants. "The full military dose. I injected a human with the full military dose." "That will kill him in seconds," one assistant said. But seconds passed. And Daniel kept screaming. His body kept fighting. His heart kept beating. tHFY leaned close to Daniel's twisted face. He spoke in a whisper that only Daniel could hear through the pain. "Humans were never meant to endure this. Your species should not survive this compound. It was designed for Valorian physiology. It should destroy your cells. It should stop your heart. It should kill you instantly." Daniel screamed louder. His restraints began to crack under the force of his thrashing. "But you are not dying," tHFY continued. His voice was filled with fear. "You are changing, and I do not know what you are changing into." The world disappeared into white-hot agony. Daniel felt his body being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. He felt the alien nanites racing through his blood, trying to destroy him. And he felt something else. Something deep inside him that had been sleeping for a very long time thought it was waking up, and it refused to die. The alien doctor injected me by mistake, then whispered, "Humans were never meant to endure this." Part 2. 5 days passed on the Valorian medical ship. Daniel did not know this. He was trapped in a world of pain and fire and darkness. His body fought a war that no human had ever fought before. The alien nanites in his blood tried to follow their programming. They tried to enhance Valorian cells, but they found human cells instead. Human cells were different, stronger in ways the nanites did not expect, more flexible, more stubborn. They refused to be destroyed. They refused to surrender. Instead, they adapted. While Daniel suffered, the Valorians watched in growing fear. HFY had not left the medical bay since the accident. He stood beside Daniel's table for hours at a time. He ran scan after scan. He checked readings that made no sense. He watched a human do the impossible. The nanites have integrated with his cellular structure. HFY reported to Supreme Commander Vale Taurus through a secure communication channel. They are not killing him. They are merging with him. That is not possible, Vale Taurus said. Her voice was cold and sharp. The catalyst was designed for our biology. Human cells are too primitive to accept the integration. I would have agreed with you 6 days ago. But I am watching it happen right now. His heart has stopped 4 times. Each time, it restarts on its own. His brain should have died from the pain. Instead, it is growing new neural connections. His muscles have torn themselves apart and reformed 3 times stronger than before. There was silence on the communication channel. When Vale Taurus spoke again, her voice was quieter. Have you consulted the historical archives? The sealed records from the first expansion? I have tried. My clearance level is not high enough to access those files. I will grant you temporary access. Read them carefully, HFY. Then you will understand why this situation terrifies me more than any enemy fleet. HFY received the access codes 1 hour later. He sat alone in his private quarters and opened files that had been sealed for 12,000 years. What he read changed everything he knew about humans. The first expansion had been the Valorian Empire's greatest period of growth. They had spread across half the galaxy, conquering or absorbing every species they encountered. Nothing could stand against their technology and their 4-armed warriors. Nothing, until they reached a small blue planet in a quiet corner of space. Earth. The humans of that time were primitive, by galactic standards. They had no space travel. They had no advanced weapons. They fought each other with metal swords and wooden spears. The Valorian commanders had expected an easy victory. They were wrong. The records describe battles that should not have been possible. Human warriors who kept fighting after wounds that would kill any Valorian. Human hunters who tracked Valorian scouts through forests and mountains for days without rest. Human tribes that united against the alien threat with a speed and coordination that shocked the Empire's military analysts. But the truly terrifying entries came from the medical records. Valorian scientists had captured human subjects for study. They had tested the limits of human endurance. What they found made them retreat from Earth and seal all records of the encounter. Humans could survive almost anything. They could survive temperatures that would freeze or boil Valorian blood. They could survive injuries that would kill most species instantly. They could survive poisons, diseases, and radiation levels that should be impossible. Their bodies possessed recovery abilities that went beyond normal biology. It was as if humans had been designed by the universe itself to endure. The Valorian high Council had made a decision after reading these reports. They would leave Earth alone. They would let humans develop in isolation. They hoped that thousands of years of comfortable civilization would make humans soft. They hoped that these dangerous survival abilities would fade away from lack of use. They were wrong about that too. Zethary closed the files. His hands were shaking. He walked back to the medical bay and looked at Daniel Price with new understanding. The man on the table was not dying. He was evolving. On the 6th day, Daniel opened his eyes. The world looked different. Colors were brighter. Shapes were sharper. He could see tiny details that should have been invisible. He could see dust particles floating in the air. He could see the individual cells in the skin of his own hand. He could hear the heartbeats of every Valorian on the ship. 37 hearts, each with a different rhythm. He could hear their whispered conversations from rooms away. He could hear the hum of the ship's engines and the crackle of electricity in the walls. He could smell everything. The chemicals in the air recyclers. The fear coming from the Valorian guards outside his door. The blood in his own veins changed now. Different. Daniel sat up. The restraints that had held him snapped like thin strings. He looked down at his body. He looked the same on the outside. But inside, everything was different. He could feel it. Zethary approached slowly. He held his scanner in front of him like a shield. "Lieutenant Commander Price," the Valorian said. "Can you understand me?" "Yes." Daniel's voice sounded strange to his own ears. Deeper. Stronger. It made the metal tables around him vibrate slightly. "I can understand you perfectly. I can understand your language now. The nanites taught me while I was unconscious. That is not possible. The catalyst does not contain translation protocols." "No, but my brain figured it out anyway." Daniel looked at Zethary with eyes that now held tiny flecks of gold in them. "What did you do to me?" Zethary was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with guilt. "I made a terrible mistake. I gave you a compound that should have killed you instantly. Instead, it awakened something inside you. Something that was always there but sleeping. Something that humans lost access to long ago." "What does that mean?" "It means you are no longer a normal human. You have become what your ancestors could have been. What all humans could have been, if circumstances had pushed them hard enough." Daniel stood up from the table. He was taller now. Not by much, but enough to notice. His muscles moved under his skin like coiled springs ready to release. "Where are my crew members?" he asked. "They are in holding cells on Deck 7. They have not been harmed. We needed them for biological samples only. You kidnapped us. You experimented on us." "Yes." Zethary did not try to defend his actions. "And in doing so, I may have sealed the fate of my entire species." Daniel walked toward the door of the medical bay. 2 Valorian guards stood outside. They saw him coming and raised their weapons. "Stop," one guard commanded. "You are a prisoner. Return to your containment table." Daniel did not stop. He walked through the doorway. The guards fired their weapons. Blue energy bolts hit Daniel's chest. He felt the impact. It pushed him back slightly, but it did not hurt. His enhanced cells absorbed the energy and dispersed it harmlessly through his body. The guards stared at him in shock. Daniel reached out with hands that now moved faster than any Valorian could track. He touched pressure points on their necks. Points that his enhanced eyes could now see clearly. Points that his enhanced brain now understood perfectly. Both guards fell unconscious without a sound. Zethary watched from the medical bay doorway. He did not try to stop Daniel. He did not call for more guards. "You will try to rescue your crew," Zethary said. It was not a question. "Yes, there are 300 Valorian soldiers on this ship. You are one human." Daniel smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "I was one human. he said. Now I am something else. Something your ancestors were right to fear. He walked down the corridor toward Deck 7. Alarms began to blare. More soldiers came running. Daniel moved through them like a river through stones. He did not kill. He did not need to kill. He simply touched and they fell. Behind him, tHFY whispered words that no Valorian had spoken in 12,000 years. The humans are awake. May the stars have mercy on us all. The alien doctor injected me by mistake, then whispered, humans were never meant to endure this. Part 3. Daniel moved through the Valorian ship like a ghost. His enhanced senses told him where every guard was positioned. His upgraded reflexes let him dodge every attack. His new strength let him break through every barrier. Nothing could stop him. He reached Deck 7 in 12 minutes. 23 Valorian soldiers lay unconscious in the corridors behind him. He had not killed any of them. Some part of him still felt human enough to avoid unnecessary death. But another part of him, the new part, whispered that mercy might be a weakness he could no longer afford. The holding cells were lined up along a narrow hallway. Metal bars glowed with energy fields that would shock anyone who touched them. Daniel could see the electricity flowing through the bars. He could hear it humming. His new brain understood how it worked almost instantly. He pressed his palm against the control panel. The nanites in his blood reached out through his skin. They connected with the ship's electronic systems. They spoke to the computers in a language of pure data. The energy fields fell. The cell doors slid open. Lisa Morrison was the first one out. She was a corporal from the Bright Stars security team. Short brown hair, strong build, quick eyes. She had been one of the best fighters during the boarding action. She stared at Daniel with a mixture of hope and confusion. Lieutenant Commander Price? She said, what happened to you? You look different. I will explain later. Right now, we need to move. Can everyone walk? The other crew members stumbled out of their cells. They were weak from days of captivity and experimentation. Some had bandages where the Valorians had taken blood samples. Some had bruises from rough handling. But they were alive. They were all alive. We can walk, Lisa said. She looked at the unconscious guards in the corridor. Did you do this? By yourself? Yes. How? Daniel did not answer. He was listening to sound from deeper in the ship. More soldiers were coming. Dozens of them. And something else. Someone with a heartbeat different from the others. Slower. Calmer. More dangerous. We need to reach the shuttle bay, Daniel said. Follow me. Stay close. Do not stop for anything. They moved as a group through the ship's corridors. Daniel led the way, taking down every guard they encountered. The other humans followed in stunned silence. They watched their commanding officer perform impossible feats. They saw him move faster than their eyes could track. They heard him speak to the ship's computers through touch alone. They were halfway to the shuttle bay when she appeared. Supreme Commander Veil Turris stepped out of a doorway directly in front of them. She was taller than any Valorian Daniel had seen before. Her silver skin bore ceremonial scars that marked thousands of years of military service. Her forearms hung at her sides, each one capable of crushing a human skull. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Price, she said. Her voice was like cold metal. I have been waiting for this moment. Daniel stopped. He gestured for his crew to stay back. You know my name. I know everything about you. tHFY has been keeping detailed records of your transformation. Fascinating reading. Terrifying reading. She took a step forward. I also know the history that your species has forgotten. I know what humans were 12,000 years ago. I know why my ancestors fled from your world. Then, you know you cannot stop me. No, I know that I must try anyway. She raised her forearms. Each hand held a different weapon, a plasma blade, an energy pistol, a neural disruptor, a standard combat knife. If you reach Earth, if you tell them what has happened to you, everything changes. Humans will learn the truth about themselves. They will begin to awaken. And when they do, no force in the galaxy will be able to contain them. Daniel felt his enhanced muscles tense. His nanites calculated attack angles and defensive positions. His brain processed thousands of possible outcomes in seconds. "So you plan to kill me here," he said. "To keep humanity sleeping." Yes, one transformed human is dangerous. A transformed humanity would be unstoppable. I must prevent that future, no matter the cost. She attacked. Valtaurus was fast. Faster than the soldiers Daniel had faced before. Her plasma blade cut through the air toward his neck. Her energy pistol fired at his chest. Her neural disruptor aimed at his head. Her knife thrust toward his heart. 4 attacks at once, perfectly coordinated. Daniel moved. Time seemed to slow down around him. He could see the plasma blade approaching in perfect detail. He could track the energy bolt as it crossed the space between them. He could feel the neural disruptor's frequency before it even reached him. He ducked under the blade. He caught the energy bolt in his hand and absorbed it. He stepped aside from the disruptor beam. He grabbed the knife as it approached his chest and twisted it away. All of this happened in less than 1 second. Valtaurus stumbled backward. For the first time in her long life, she had met an enemy who could match her speed. "Impossible," she whispered. "The catalyst was only meant to enhance our abilities by 15%. How can you be this fast?" "Because I'm not Valorian." Daniel stepped toward her. "The compound was designed for your biology. Your species evolved in relative safety. Your ancestors faced few natural enemies. Your bodies never needed to develop true survival mechanisms." He took another step. Valtaurus backed away. "Humans are different. We evolved on a death world. Everything on our planet wanted to kill us. Disease, predators, weather, other humans. We survived anyway. We developed the ability to adapt to anything, to overcome any obstacle, to refuse death itself." Another step. Valtaurus hit the wall behind her. "Your catalyst did not create something new in me. It unlocked something that was always there. Something every human carries in their blood. Something your ancestors saw 12,000 years ago and ran from in terror." He stopped directly in front of her. His eyes blazed with golden light. "You should have stayed away from Earth. You should have let us sleep. Now we are waking up. And you have no one to blame but yourselves." Valtaurus dropped her weapons. Her 4 hands were shaking. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want my ship. I want my crew. I want to go home." "And then what?" Daniel smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not kind either. It was the smile of someone who had glimpsed the future and found it full of possibilities. "Then I tell humanity the truth. I show them what they can become. I help them remember what they forgot. That will mean war. Every species in the galaxy will unite against you. Maybe, or maybe they will realize that humans were never their enemies. We just want to survive. We just want to grow. We just want to reach our full potential." He stepped back. "Your choice now, Supreme Commander. You can try to stop us. You can die here fighting one transformed human. Or you can let us go and hope that awakened humanity chooses peace." Valtaurus was silent for a long moment. Her amber eyes studied Daniel's face. She looked for weakness. She looked for doubt. She found neither. "Take the shuttle," she said finally. "Take your crew. Leave this ship. A wise decision." Daniel turned to his crew. They had watched the entire confrontation in frozen silence. Lisa Morrison's mouth hung open. The others looked like they had witnessed a miracle. "Move," Daniel said. "The shuttle bay is 3 corridors away." They ran. Daniel stayed at the back of the group, watching for pursuit. None came. Vale Taurus had given the order to let them go. For now, as they boarded the shuttle and launched into space, Daniel looked back at the Valorian medical frigate. He could still hear Vale Taurus' heartbeat through the vacuum, a low, steady rhythm of fear and resignation. The game had changed. Humanity was waking up, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The alien doctor injected me by mistake, then whispered, "Humans were never meant to endure this." Part 4. The shuttle reached Earth 3 weeks later. Daniel and his crew had traveled through empty space, avoiding Valorian patrols, jumping from system to system using stolen coordinates. When they finally saw their home planet appear through the cockpit window, several crew members wept with relief, but Daniel did not weep. He was too busy thinking about what came next. News of the kidnapping had already reached Earth. The human government had sent diplomatic protests to every known alien species. Search parties had been dispatched. Families had been notified. The crew of the Bright Star had been listed as missing, presumed captured or dead. Their return changed everything. Military commanders met Daniel at the landing pad. Scientists surrounded him within hours. Government officials demanded reports. News cameras broadcast his face across the entire planet. The story of the accidental injection spread faster than any virus. Humanity learned the truth about itself. The Valorians kept detailed records of their first expansion. Daniel explained during his testimony before the United Nations. His voice carried through speakers to billions of listeners. 12,000 years ago, they encountered our ancestors. They ran tests. They documented our survival capabilities. And then they fled in terror. He stood at a podium, surrounded by holographic displays showing stolen Valorian data. Charts and graphs and medical scans filled the air around him. Humans are not weak. We never were. Our species evolved on a planet that constantly tried to kill us. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, predators, droughts, our own violent tendencies. Through all of this, we survived. We adapted. We overcame. He gestured to a display showing his own transformed cellular structure. The Valorians developed a compound called the Catalyst. It was designed to enhance their own soldiers by 15%. When that compound entered my human body, it did not work the same way. It activated dormant abilities that our species had locked away over thousands of years of comfortable civilization. Silence filled the United Nations chamber. Representatives from every nation on Earth stared at Daniel with wide eyes. Inside every human being is the potential for what I have become. Not just one special person. Not just those with lucky genetics. Every single one of you carries the ability to survive what should be unsurvivable. To adapt to any challenge. To overcome any enemy. How do we access this potential? Asked the representative from China. That is what we need to discover. The Valorian Catalyst is too dangerous for direct use. It nearly killed me. But now that we know what exists inside us, our scientists can work on safer methods. We can find ways to unlock human potential without the terrible risks. The research began immediately. Within weeks, laboratories around the world had received samples of Daniel's blood. Scientists studied his transformed cells under microscopes. They analyzed the alien nanites that had merged with his biology. They searched for the genetic markers that had allowed him to survive what should have been fatal. What they found amazed them. Human DNA contained sections that had no known purpose. Scientists had called this junk DNA for decades. It sat in human chromosomes doing nothing visible, serving no obvious function. Until now. These dormant sections contain the instructions for extreme adaptation, reported Dr. Catherine Lane. the lead researcher at the Global Awakening Project. They describe biological processes we have never seen in any living organism. Enhanced healing, increased sensory perception, accelerated reflexes, improved strength and endurance. All of it was there, locked away in our own genetic code. Why was it locked away? Asked General Paul Harrison, the military liaison for the project. Survival efficiency. Our ancestors needed these abilities during times of extreme danger. Ice ages, extinction events, prolonged warfare. But maintaining these enhanced states required enormous amounts of energy. When danger passed, it made sense to return to normal function. The abilities did not disappear. They just went dormant, waiting for the next crisis. And the Valorian compound? It triggered the crisis response artificially. Daniel's body believed it was facing extinction-level danger. His dormant adaptations woke up to meet that threat. The pain he experienced was his biology rewriting itself at incredible speed. Daniel worked with the scientists every day. He trained with military special forces to test the limits of his new abilities. He traveled the world, meeting with leaders and researchers, sharing everything he knew. But he was also watching the sky. 3 months after his return to Earth, long-range sensors detected something alarming. A massive fleet was gathering at the edge of human space. Ships from dozens of different alien species, united under a single banner, the Coalition of Ordered Species. They've been afraid of humans for 12,000 years. Supreme Commander Vale Taurus explained in a recorded message sent to Earth. They believed that time would weaken your species. That comfort would make you soft. That you would forget the dangerous potential sleeping in your blood. Her silver face filled screens across the planet. Instead, you discovered the truth. Now every government in the galaxy fears what humanity will become. They have formed an alliance to contain you before it is too late. I warned them that this path leads to destruction. They did not listen. The message ended with a single sentence that echoed in the minds of every human who heard it. The Coalition fleet launches in 90 days. Prepare yourselves. Panic could have followed. Terror could have gripped humanity. Instead, something unexpected happened. People volunteered. They came from every country, every background, every walk of life. They lined up at military recruitment centers around the world. They offered themselves for the awakening experiments that scientists were developing. They chose to face the unknown rather than wait for enemies to decide their fate. The Global Awakening Project accelerated its work. Safer methods of triggering dormant abilities were developed. Not as powerful as the full catalyst effect that Daniel had experienced, but effective. Enhanced soldiers began training in growing numbers. Daniel watched the first generation of awakened humans practice in a massive training facility outside Geneva. 50 men and women, each one faster and stronger than any normal soldier. Each one capable of feats that would have seemed superhuman just months ago. Lisa Morrison was among them. She had volunteered on the first day recruitment opened. Her awakening had been smoother than Daniel's, thanks to the refined process. Golden flecks now swam in her eyes, just like his. "How do you feel?" Daniel asked her. "Like I finally understand what it means to be human," she said. "Like I was sleeping my entire life and just woke up." "Are you afraid?" "The Coalition fleet is enormous. We will be outnumbered by thousands." Lisa smiled. It was the smile of someone who had found their purpose. Our species survived ice ages and extinction events. We survived plagues and wars and everything nature could throw at us. We built civilizations from nothing. We reached the stars with technology we invented ourselves. She looked out at her fellow awakened soldiers. Now we finally have access to our full potential. Why should we be afraid of anything? Daniel nodded. He felt the same way. Whatever was coming, humanity would face it together, and humanity would endure. The alien doctor injected me by mistake, then whispered, "Humans were never meant to endure this." Part 5. The day the Coalition fleet entered human space. Daniel stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship vessel, the Endurance. Through the massive windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the darkness. Behind him, screens displayed the positions of 200 human warships. Ahead, 3,000 enemy vessels approached in battle formation. 90 days had passed since the Coalition's warning. 90 days of preparation, training, and awakening. Humanity had used every hour wisely. "All ships report ready," Lisa Morrison said. She had been promoted to captain of the cruiser Resolution. Her voice came through the communication system clear and calm. 47,000 awakened personnel across the fleet. All weapons powered. All shields at maximum. Daniel nodded. The numbers were not in their favor. They were outnumbered 15-1. The Coalition had brought ships from the Valorian Empire, the insectoid Kethari Hive, the aquatic Deepburn Collective, and the machine consciousness known as the Synthesis. Every major power in the galaxy had united against Earth, but humanity had advantages that could not be measured in numbers alone. "Open a channel to the Coalition flagship," Daniel ordered. Supreme Commander Veilturus appeared on the main screen. She looked older than Daniel remembered. The months since their last meeting had not been kind to her. Her silver skin had grown dull. Her amber eyes held shadows of doubt. "Lieutenant Commander Price," she said, "you have built a respectable defense fleet. But surely you can see the mathematics. Surrender now, and your species will be confined to your home system. Resist, and you will be destroyed." "I hear your offer," Daniel replied. "Here is mine. Turn your fleet around. Return to your own territories. Accept that humanity has awakened and that we will not be contained. That is not possible. The Coalition has decided. Humanity must be controlled before you become a threat to galactic stability. We were never a threat. We only ever wanted to survive and grow. You could have been our friends. Instead, you chose to be our enemies." Veilturus shook her head sadly. "You do not understand. I have seen the historical records. I know what awakened humans are capable of. If we allow you to spread across the galaxy, you will eventually dominate every species you encounter. Not through cruelty, not through conquest, simply by being better than us at everything. And that frightens you. It terrifies the entire galaxy." Daniel was quiet for a moment. He understood her fear. He had felt the changes in his own body. He knew the potential that slept in human blood. But he also knew that power did not automatically lead to evil. What mattered was choice. "Then let us show you who we really are," he said. "Let us prove that awakened humanity chooses cooperation over conquest. Peace over war. Justice over domination. How do you propose to demonstrate this? By defending ourselves without hatred. By winning without cruelty. By offering mercy to those who try to destroy us." Daniel looked directly into the camera. "Today you will attack Earth with everything you have. And today you will learn that humans are not the monsters you feared. We are something far more complicated. Something that can be terrifying on the battlefield and compassionate at the negotiating table. Something that has learned from 10,000 years of war and chosen to value peace." Veilturus was silent. Behind her, Coalition officers shifted nervously. "Your words are pretty," she finally said. "But words do not win battles. No, they do not." Daniel straightened his shoulders. "All ships, prepare for combat. Defensive formation Alpha. Weapons free. And remember your orders. Disable when possible. Destroy only when necessary." The channel closed. The Coalition fleet began its advance. What followed would be remembered as the Battle of Seoul. The day that changed galactic history forever. A coalition attacked with overwhelming force. Thousands of ships poured toward Earth, filling space with energy beams and missile swarms. They expected to crush human resistance within hours. They were wrong. The awakened humans aboard the Endurance and her sister ships fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Their enhanced reflexes allowed them to dodge attacks that should have been unavoidable. Their improved perception let them spot weaknesses in enemy formations instantly. Their accelerated thinking allowed them to adapt their tactics in real time, countering every strategy the coalition attempted. But more importantly, they fought with a precision that minimized casualties on both sides. Human weapons targeted engines and weapon systems, not crew quarters. Human pilots disabled enemy ships rather than destroying them. Human commanders accepted surrenders instantly and treated prisoners with respect. Hour after hour, the battle continued. The coalition threw everything they had at the human fleet. Nothing worked. The humans did not break. They did not retreat. They did not give up. And slowly, impossibly, they began to win. 16 hours into the battle, Daniel led a small strike team aboard the coalition flagship. They moved through the enemy vessel like shadows, disabling guards without killing them, disrupting critical systems. Pushing toward the command center, they found Vale Taurus waiting for them. She stood alone in the center of the bridge. Her officers lay unconscious around her, victims of Daniel's team. Her forearms hung at her sides. She did not try to fight. "It is over," she said. "You have won, I know." Daniel stopped a few meters away from her. "Order your fleet to stand down. End this before more lives are lost. Why? You could destroy us completely. You have every right. We came to enslave your species. We failed." The traditional response would be extermination. Daniel shook his head. "That is not who we are. That is not who we choose to be." He stepped closer to the Supreme Commander. His golden eyes met her amber gaze. 12,000 years ago, your ancestors visited Earth. They saw our potential and ran away in fear. They sealed the records. They hoped we would forget what we could become. They dreamed that time would weaken us. He held out his hand. That time is over. Humanity is awake now. We know what we are. We know what we can do. And we choose to use our abilities for building, not destroying. For protecting, not conquering. For lifting up, not crushing down. Vale Taurus stared at his extended hand. Tears formed in her amber eyes. "After everything we tried to do to you, you offer mercy?" "We offer more than mercy. We offer partnership. Humanity does not want to dominate the galaxy. We want to explore it, to understand it, to help make it better for everyone." The coalition was built on fear. Let us build something new on hope instead. Slowly, hesitantly, Vale Taurus reached out with one of her 4 hands. She grasped Daniel's palm. "I do not know if the other species will accept this," she said. "Fear runs deep in the coalition. Then we will show them, one day at a time, that they have nothing to fear from awakened humanity. We will prove ourselves through actions, not words. We will be patient. We will be kind. We will endure." He smiled. This time, it was a warm smile. A human smile. That is what we do, after all. We endure, we adapt, we survive. And then we reach out and help others do the same. The battle ended 3 hours later. The coalition fleet surrendered. Prisoners were released. Negotiations began. The road ahead would be long and difficult, full of challenges and setbacks. But for the first time in galactic history, humanity had a seat at the table as equals. Daniel returned to Earth as a hero, but he refused to accept the title. He had only done what any human would do. He had endured. He had adapted. He had survived, and in doing so, he had shown the universe the true nature of his species. Not monsters to be feared, not weaklings to be conquered, just humans. Awakened, resilient, and ready to face whatever came next. Together. The end.